So here we go. So I'm going to just turn it over to Sarah and Zach. We met last week to review the capital improvement plan. This version of the plan takes those recommendations into account. And so we do, yes, we get Carrie on the line. And so there's three members. Yeah, she's down towards the bottom there. Carrie Brown. And Ben.
That's it.
That's it. There's three members of council that are on this committee, and Jim is not here tonight.
So staff are the other members. That's the other four.
So
It's not a subcommittee like the country club. There's three council members.
so it's not. So since this has been a standing committee, this is not necessarily a subcommittee of council. I mean, I guess you could classify it that way.
Okay, I'll stand there.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to get started. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah and Zach to kind of go through where we are today and what we're looking for next. We'll take it from there. So take it away.
Okay, can you guys hear me online? Sure, perfect. So we don't have a lot different than what you saw last time. And we took your recommendations and we put paving up to 1.2 million in each of the next 5 years, which you can see reflected here in the summary. You'll see that there's about 1.8 in capital investment. And so with that, we've placed the paving up to the steady state estimate of 1.2. We also have sidewalks pretty close to our steady state estimate in this version of the plan, as well as, you know, some catch up of equipment. My hope is that during the council meeting, during the sales tax allocation discussion, there will be the opportunity to remove potentially the ambulance and a DPW truck from this plan so that there would be less pressure in this year because we will have FY26 money that would need to be allocated. And so if we can remove those two pieces of equipment, I think if you guys are in agreement with the 2-cent increase approach, as well as then allocating FY27 local option tax money towards infrastructure improvements, then we'll be able to fit this version of the capital plan into the budget package we submit. And so I've got information that I can pull up about the different streets that are on the paving plans if you'd like to go through those. Otherwise, the plan itself is very similar to what you saw last meeting, aside from the increase that you requested related to paving.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you actually, Sarah, it'd be helpful if you could just talk more about what you're asking. I mean, or maybe it's better to wait till the council meeting, but remove the ambulance and the local option tax allocation, like how is that impacting the capital budget?
Absolutely. So you can see here in the equipment tab that we have in 2027, 425,000 for an ambulance and then you can see a little further down, I've highlighted them in yellow, 180,000 for a plow truck. In the recommendation I provided in the council meeting, I estimate that we'll have about $1 million worth of sales tax that comes in this year that's not budgeted. So one of the recommendations we've made is that you use some of that money once received to, you know, do this one-time purchase of the ambulance and of this DPW truck, which helps catch us up on deferred purchases. And then those would come out of the 27 budget numbers in this sheet, which would then, you know, relieve some of the pressure of this capital plan that it has on the budget overall.
Okay.
So that was where I was headed there. I was thinking that would be a good use of the sales tax money to go towards equipment, infrastructure, and the like, and give us a little bit of breathing room on this capital plan piece, because those, you know, two are a significant chunk of change.
So we're just swapping out the local option tax for the equipment purchases.
We would be using the 26 money collected that's not budgeted anywhere,
right?
To supplement these equipment purchases instead of raising taxes and applying current year infrastructure money, or excuse me, current year sales tax money to those. It would
Right,
allow that to go more towards that paving bump and the
okay,
other pieces of equipment and still leave room, you know, to help fund strategic plan items related to housing and economic development.
great. I look forward to that conversation. So,
Oh, I've got a whole pack
yeah,
here.
yeah, great, great. But I mean, this really reflects what we talked about last time of getting up to the steady state.
Yeah.
And the steady state for sidewalks is 175.
Yeah.
Right, so we're pretty much.
Yeah,
there.
we're at 171 in this year, with 1.2 in paving. And so I think, you know, being able to be strategic, still keep the 2 cent tax increase approach on it and supplement with local options tax. That's a new revenue source. You know, we can really make a dent and get to steady state now and not in 2031.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's
So
great. It's playing catch up right after a couple tough years.
Yeah, so it's incredibly optimistic.
So what would be great, just because I think that one of the things in this capital plan that is pretty awesome is that it is 5 years. And Zach has done, DPW has done a lot of work on sort of capturing the paving projects that'll come forward, just taking a little bit of time to kind of walk through
Sure.
what's on that listing for this year, next, and maybe the year after, but then you can kind of see what the plan is. And so I think that's really helpful. That's also one of our strategic plan items that we want to really focus on. And so we're doing that this year. So pretty much to do so.
Great.
So you can see in the sheet that I'm sharing now, I zoomed in because it's a lot of data and really tiny. But you can see the grand total at the bottom, before the notes about fog and crack sealing. Obviously it's not a perfect science and this is a plan, and depending on how cost comes in, you know, streets could shift from year to year, but Zach has worked really hard to establish 1.2 street by street. And he also has a separate sheet where he's tracking, okay, there's curbing, there's sidewalks, there's water work. And so we know what's coming and how to plan accordingly and line up with the master plans. And so you can see, you know, roughly 1.2 this year. They fluctuate a little bit from here to there, but you know, close enough, given that these are estimates and we're looking 5 years out. It took a lot of effort
That's a
to
lot.
get here.
Yeah, that's a
So
lot.
I just,
And I'm sorry, I can't remember the names of all the different kinds of paving techniques but do you have a list somewhere that shows what the intervention would be? That would be on each street, you know,
Yeah,
for example,
so-
Grave Street, like what's gonna happen in year?
This
Just
chart that you're
looking
seeing right here is a summary sheet.
Yep.
Summary sheet, there's an individual breakdown by each year with the cost of each street
Right
and
here.
what
What the intervention?
treatment was selected for each one.
Great, right, I see it, thank you.
With the funding getting up to 1.2 million, it really made some of the choosing much easier because a lot of these streets that we want to do and that we know we need to do are $500,000 plus. So when you only have an $800,000 budget, that is the majority of what's being paved. So I think you'll notice that next year we proposed Elm Street, which was a smaller scale project in the grand scheme of things, but it was around 300,000. And then in FY 28, we proposed to move Berlin forward due to it being a class 2 and so many people drive that road, and then there's the bike issues.
Yeah.
And then in 29, the big one was North Street. In FY 30, it was Terrace Street. And then in FY 31, there's kind of 2 large ones, and that's Hill Street and Loomis Street.
Hill Street and what?
Loomis.
Loomis.
Loomis needs a new water main, new sidewalks. So that one is going to be quite a bit. So Berlin Street needs sewer work with it as well. And then I know that there was a lot of conversation specifically around North Street. So I talked to the individual. He actually called me after the meeting. And, you know, I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to do like some interim patching there on North Street. Because we kind of agreed that the worst section is between like Cross Street and Main Street. It's like where it's really bad. I mean, it's not, none of it's great, but
Yeah,
like if we could improve that section, then, you know, the waiting another year or so to get the water main done
Mhm.
wouldn't be as big of a deal to the people that are driving it. So there's some things that are not reflected on this list, like North Street, because just of the way that the Excel sheet works, it's hard to pick the same street twice. And so like, that is something that is on the operational side for just pavement patching.
Yeah.
So if there's a question of why that isn't here, that's kind of why in a high level. But when we bid it out, we'll build it out as an option so that we can to pave North Street. And then obviously when we look at the estimates and everything, then we'll have to, a lot of times it's never perfect, right? Every time we end up doing a bid opening, we can either add a street,
Right.
sometimes we have to take away a street, but that's just generally how it works. So.
I don't know if you can do this or not, but like, do you have a sense of, do you make a estimate or a goal of where our PCI would be
Yeah,
at the end
so-
of 5 years?
I can go back and do that. This main task was really like putting the groups of streets into each of the years and then validating that our mileage was in that target. So
Right.
we were, I think I said, somewhere between 2.1 miles and 3. And I think year over year, we're at like 2.6, 2.7. If you factored in East State Street, you're getting closer to 3. Because I mean, we are paving East State Street, but the money isn't coming. It's coming from the bond, not from this pot that we're talking about allocating. So if we wanted to look at that, now that the list is set and things are not moving, then I can go back and run the numbers and we could put that as part of the budget packet to say, here's where we're at today. And then here's the iterations like on each, at the end of each year or before and after.
The PCI, the
Yes.
projected PCI.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Great.
But much easier now that things have stopped moving.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
You have to rerun the numbers every time.
No, I get it. That's a lot of work, right? But it's great to have a 5-year plan, to have a goal of where we'll be at the end of it. Really appreciate it.
So if you other people have questions, what we're looking for is, to move this plan out of this committee and into the budget. And so if you guys are in agreement with the plan we've presented, that's what we will do next.
And that would require a motion and a vote by the committee? Or you just take it?
I'll leave that one up to Kelly. I think we've done it either way, because
Yeah.
ultimately it's a council decision once it gets down to the budget. It's just more that this committee supports the capital plan that we put forth.
I think it's totally in keeping with what we talked about last week, that everybody was supportive of.
What I'm really excited about is this is a plan now that we are approaching steady state on our paving, our sidewalks and equipment, which is something that is like for the first time in, I don't know, a lot of years, that feels like we're making really good headway. To have more than one category where we're in steady state and not just paving here, but then all of your equipment's neglected, right? We're starting to add all the boxes and get everything into these buckets where they need to be to adequately fund things. So that to me is actually the really exciting piece that we're getting there.
Yeah, it's great.
So if you'd like, we can make a motion just accepting sort of the plan as presented, or just a general statement, and I'll reflect that in if it's updated in minutes.
Yeah, I'm happy to just make a general statement or, I think it's great. And I'm sure the council, well, I'm not sure about anything in the council, but like, they'll, it's definitely in keeping with what we talked about in our goal set. So really appreciate that.
Okay, so I think that concludes what we've got for tonight.